Those feelings of like helplessness and those feelings of like just being lost and trying to navigate this system, which can be discouraging, especially when you're on top of dealing with mental health concerns. And I think not wanting other young people to have to go through that was like my main motivator. My name is Mahalia, and I am a member of KMH's Youth Engagement Committee here. After probably about like 5 years of like things not being okay, things were like really not okay. Finally came to a head, and I had to like actually go to like treatment. I had to actually see doctors and therapists and all of these sort of things. It was like really scary. It was a really scary experience. There was a lot of like internalized stigma of mental health. And so going into it, I was very like anti-treatment, but at the same time I was like, I just want this to like go away. I guess that's when like treatment became especially important to me, when I realized that it wouldn't just go away, which was after probably about like a couple, like I would say even like a year after my first contact, and after being through like a bunch of different care providers, that I was like, oh wow, like there isn't actually just like a magic thing to fix it all. The best way I could describe it was things were not okay, because I didn't even understand what it wasn't just that I was sad sometimes, I was just a depressed child, or I was like a really anxious kid. If I could, I guess, identify like an actual moment where things sort of changed for me, it would be when like I realized that I actually wanted to come back and do something again, which was something that I struggled with for a long time, but realizing that like there was something that I was looking forward to from another day, another week, another whatever. Like I'd never had that before, but in that moment, like it was, I guess, the most effective form of mental health treatment that I experienced was finding that community. And I got to the first meeting and I was like, wow, this is like everything that I've ever wanted. And existing in this space where like it's cool and these are things that I can talk about, and like I'm affecting change like on like an agency level, but you know, in the future, maybe on like a larger level. And from that moment I was hooked. I was like, oh, I've got to come back like in 2 weeks. I've got to come back in 2 weeks after that. Everything that I had to say in my experiences thus far were very, like they were valued, which I think is something that a lot of people struggle with, especially young people. Finding a space where your own lived experience is viewed as expertise, and that, you know, you're valid and you can talk about, you know, what your life looks like, and you can use that in a positive way to shape how systems look, how services look, how everything looks going forward. And here I am 2 years later, and that whole thing, like, it's just spiraled in the most amazing way. One of the things that I found, I guess, most challenging about the mental health system was often those like moments of just do it, you know, or the care provider would just be like, oh, clearly something isn't working if you're back again. And it was one of the most like frustrating experiences ever, when I felt like it was my fault that I wasn't getting better. And I kept blaming myself for the situation. I was like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with me? If they say that I'm supposed to be better in 2 months, but I'm not, and it's been 2 years, what's going on? When it was more like, I guess, tailored to who I am as an individual, and I stopped being looked at as like a child who needs treatment, or a sick child, or a mentally ill individual, or whatever the term that they would call me, a patient, anything like that. And instead I was looked at as like a human being who has like dreams and hopes and positive aspects of myself. Once that was like made the focus of like my treatment, that's when I noticed like the biggest changes. It was the first time someone actually looked at me and believed that I knew what was best for me in the moment.